Olympic champion.
So how long does that fight last?
Listen, my opinion, it's 1 round.
There's been some talk about possibly Joshua using Jake Paul as a tune-up to fight you. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't know about tune-up. I think Jake Paul knocks him out.
You make of that?
Anthony by murder.
By murder?
Yes.
Golly.
Might knock his head off a little bit. Like, it might be special effect, but it might, like, go out.
Like legit? Legit?
Yeah.
Many boxing legends gave their thoughts on the Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua fight. Usyk says the fight will end in just 1 round because he has fought Joshua twice and knows how strong he is. He thinks this event is mostly about making money and doesn't add real value to the sport. Usyk believes Joshua needs only one good moment to show how powerful he is. To him, this is not a fair or close fight. He thinks it will end fast, and Jake is entering something far bigger than he can handle.
Some people complaining about AJ taking that fight. Obviously, it's a lot of money, right?
Yeah.
Do you see something wrong with AJ taking that fight?
This is just a lot of money. It's just a show.
Right.
This is not interesting sport because, guys, brothers, Anthony, it's Olympic champion.
Right.
Jake, it's just sportsman. Yeah, YouTuber. Jake do a lot of work. Special coach, special food, a lot of exercise, new.
Yes.
But this is guy don't have a mother fights.
Right.
Never
Right.
a mother fights. Maybe them wrestling, now professional, but Joshua, Anthony Joshua, it's Olympic champion.
So how long does that fight last?
Listen, my opinion, it's 1 round. Because Anthony, twice, my fight twice. Jab,
Very hard.
yeah, look, you know? This is,
And still from his fight.
this jab.
Tyson Fury shares a very different and surprising prediction. He says that Jake Paul will knock out Joshua, which shocks many people because most experts disagree. Fury explains that Jake is getting stronger, training with heavier weights, and becoming a more solid fighter. He thinks Jake's improvement is impressive and that sometimes momentum matters more than experience. Fury is known for saying unexpected things, but this time he truly believes Jake's confidence and growth could lead to a result almost no one expects. He doesn't see Jake as just an internet star, but as someone who is training seriously. Fury's prediction is still controversial, but it adds an interesting point of view because he knows heavyweight boxing better than almost anyone.
There's been some talk about possibly Joshua using Jake Paul as a tune-up to fight you. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't know about tune-up. I think Jake Paul knocks him out.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Why so? What impresses you about Jake Paul?
I just think Jake Paul would knock AJ out. I think AJ's a spent force, and I think Jake Paul's on the rise. And I like his new heavyweight look. Bit chubby, bit bulky.
Teddy Atlas looks at the fight with strategy instead of excitement. He knows Joshua is very strong, but he also says Jake Paul is not coming in with nothing. Atlas explains that Jake is younger, and younger fighters recover faster, move with more confidence, and take more risks. He also says Jake's footwork has gotten much better, which could bother Joshua if Joshua doesn't expect it. Atlas reminds people that every fight has 2 sides. Joshua has size, skill, and championship experience, but Jake still has tools that matter. He also talks about Jake's mindset. Since Jake is early in his career, he fights with hunger and doesn't have the mental stress older fighters carry. Atlas says Joshua is usually best when he controls the distance, but Jake's quicker feet and fearless style could create small chances for him. These chances may be small, but they are still real. Atlas isn't saying Jake will win, only that Jake has enough strengths that people should take him seriously.
While we look at all the advantages that Joshua has, let's look at how I look at where maybe Paul has some advantages. He's younger. His feet are a little faster. I know he's not at that level of a fighter. I get it. But his feet are faster. Joshua's feet are not that fast, closing gaps, getting to somebody. To hit him, even if you're better than him, you still got to get to him to hit him. Also, Joshua, last time he fought was over a year. He hasn't fought. He was basically retired. Where's his mind at? He got knocked out terribly by Dubois. Where's his confidence? Where's his mindset? Where is he? Is he taking this fight the way that fans are, overlooking Paul, taking him for granted? Yeah, probably is. Might be. Does that weigh in? Yeah, that weighs in. People don't look at those parts of it. And the weight. Paul's smart. he always puts clauses in there. I know this is the first time he's fighting a guy who's bigger than him and all that stuff, but he put in a 245-pound weight, clause where he can't come in over 245. What is Joshua weighing? He was off over a year. He was basically retired. Was he 280? Was he 290? Was he 275? Easily could be the case. He didn't have a lot of time now to get to 245. How does that affect him? Oh, we forgot about that. It's a little thing, but it's not that little. It's a thing that Paul put there for a reason. Again, Paul hasn't made too many mistakes. He's been pretty damn smart. I'm not saying he's the fighter that Joshua is, but I don't know if Joshua's the fighter that Joshua was.
Lamont Roach talks with respect for the sport and real worry about what could happen if Anthony Joshua fights Jake Paul seriously. He doesn't think this is an even matchup because Joshua's strength and experience create a danger Jake has never faced. Roach explains that Joshua doesn't even need to attack with full power for things to go badly. Just one strong punch from Joshua could change everything, especially with their big difference in size and skill. He warns that Joshua's heavyweight power is not something an influencer-turned-fighter can handle safely. The physical gap between them could put Jake in real danger.
Excuse me. My first thoughts was this guy's crazy. Not gonna lie. But I get it. Coming from a guy who's not a true traditional boxer, and to be able to have a position where he can fight a former unified world champion, former Olympic gold medalist, and to do it on such a stage where Anthony Joshua is a superstar as well. I mean, like, he sold out the O2, twice.
Absolutely.
I think. So, I think Jake is setting himself up for, a huge spectacle, and which is, kind of smart. If you're going to go big, why not go to the highest of the mountain? Why not? And I get it. That's what you call business right there. And I seen a lot of guys calling them out, from like Gabe to, other guys who are boxers. Yeah, like guys who actually beat him. But why would he settle for those guys when he could fight Anthony Joshua? So I think that's smart. I think that's super smart.
Smart is one thing. What do you think happens in the ring, though, champ?
I think he gets hurt for sure. I think he gets obliterated. Something close to like Francis Ngannou. I think something like that happens, and it's going to be bad for him. But there will be a lot of viewers.
Andrew Tate gives a clear and simple reaction to the matchup. He says Jake has stepped into a very big moment and deserves respect for it. Tate likes that Jake is taking such a huge risk and notes that most people would never fight someone as strong and experienced as Joshua. For Tate, the result doesn't matter as much. What matters is that Jake is challenging himself and showing real ambition, something very few fighters, influencer or not, would dare to do. Tate focuses on Jake's courage, and he believes Jake's decision alone is worthy of admiration.
Nice. Just a couple more things before I let you go. Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua, your thoughts on this fight? And Mega One?
Yeah, huge respect to Jake. I mean, we all know what should happen on paper, but it's boxing. So huge respect to Jake. I have nothing but positive things to say about the guy.
Before the December 19th main event in South Florida, Sean Ali shared real worry for his friend Jake Paul. Speaking on the Bro Ali show, he said fighting Anthony Joshua is truly scary. Ali explained that getting knocked out by someone as strong as Joshua can change a person's life, not just hurt their career. He said Jake's choice to step into the ring with such a powerful heavyweight is almost crazy because of the real danger and risk involved.
And Sean O'Malley is scared for Jake Paul. All right, great. You know what? Thank you, Sean. And now that's now my phrase. I'm going to steal that from you from this moment. I'm going to use it going forward because I didn't know how to describe my feeling about this fight, but I just got it. I'm glad I thought of it right after I read Sean O'Malley said it. Sean went on to say, there's certain punches, there's certain knockouts, there's certain concussions, there's certain ass whippings, there's certain beatings that are not equal to others. They're the kind of knockouts, of punches, of concussions, of ass whippings, and of beatings that change your life. They change lives. And O'Malley didn't elaborate on what that meant. But I know what he meant. I know what he meant. There is a confidence that a person has. From the guy that walks down the street, the most confident, he walks in the room and he's the man and he gets to live his life feeling that way and people will treat him that way. All the way down to the coward who walks his wife like he's weak, who handles everything sheepishly. The one thing those two guys have in common is that neither of them actually knows where they stand. Neither of them has actually tested that theory. They got all the rest of society to go along with it. Therefore, they don't have to test the theory.
Sonnen clearly explains why he thinks the matchup strongly favors Joshua. He lists Joshua's size, power, height, weight, reach, and years of pro experience as huge advantages. Sonnen says Jake has improved a lot, but Jake's past opponents are nothing like the fighters Joshua has faced in his career. He points out that everything, physical strength and mental readiness, leans toward Joshua. Sonnen removes all emotion and focuses only on the facts, showing how uneven this matchup really is.
Trick in the bar, the Francis Ngannou performance. What if Jake makes it 5 rounds, 6 rounds? What if Jake made it to the distance? What if Jake won a round? Now, it's very hard to believe. It's very hard to imagine. I think it's the big struggle with this fight. I cannot, off the top of my head, produce a fight for you in any form of unarmed combat that drew, that was exciting, where the audience did not have a reasonable expectation, an expectation to some degree that, well, if he does this or that, there is a way for this guy to win. And that's usually pretty easy to do because nobody knows anything about fighting. Nobody watching this right now, none of you, my millions of viewers, not one of you has ever boxed. Not one of you knows someone in the family. Well, my dad was a boxer. My uncle was a boxer. No, you don't. Not only are you not a boxer, you don't even know of a boxer. Now, I only share that because when I come out and say nobody knows what they're talking about when they're talking about boxing, like, it's not meant to be an insult. You don't know anything about boxing. It was never taught to you. None of you in recess boxed. None of your junior highs, your high schools, your colleges, your community colleges offered boxing. Your hometown didn't have a boxing gym. I really think about that. Because as much as you love the sport and as much as you think that you understand it, not only do you not understand it, you can't even have a conversation with other people who do because they don't understand it. So what is a win? I think that time counts. I think that time is a very big deal. You're in that little bitty ring, and I know a guy can run backwards, but running backwards is not illegal in boxing. It is in wrestling.
Chris Algieri looks at the matchup based on how Joshua usually fights. He says Joshua changes his style depending on how dangerous the opponent is. When the opponent is tough, Joshua is more careful. When the opponent has less experience or is smaller, Joshua gives the strong, dominant performance fans expect. Algieri thinks this pattern fits perfectly with Jake Paul. He believes Joshua won't take wild risks, but once he decides to move forward, he usually ends the fight with power and accuracy. Algieri reminds fans not to be confused. Joshua has always handled mismatches the same way, and he expects that to continue. He adds that this steady behavior makes Joshua predictable, but in a good and reliable way.
Damages his reputation as an elite heavyweight. Do you understand the analogy I'm getting to, Chris?
Yeah, and I agree. And but listen, Joshua's done this already. He fought a guy that he was supposed to destroy, right? And then he went out there and he destroyed him. And he didn't play with his food. Yep. He didn't say, okay, it was Ngannou I'm talking about, obviously. Of course. Who gave Tyson Fury fits and really had everyone questioning Tyson Fury's ability because he struggled with an MMA fighter in his pro boxing debut. Anthony Joshua didn't do that. He went out there and did what we all expected Tyson Fury to do and completely wiped the floor with the guy. And if Joshua doesn't do that this fight, I agree with you, Jimmy. It's going to hurt his stock. It's going to hurt the way that people perceive him moving forward. And also, I think, honestly, and if he doesn't go out there and just lay into Jake Paul and end it in the first, if not second round, to me, it's gonna look fishy to me. It's gonna look like this was a setup, this was an exhibition, this wasn't a real fight. If this is a real fight, it should be over in 90 seconds because Anthony Joshua is a legit gold medalist, super heavyweight, crazy athlete, awesome power, and Jake Paul just isn't on that level in any way. And he's not and he's undersized. You know, Jake Paul was fighting a cruiserweight in his last fight. He was under 200 pounds. You know, Joshua is a legit 250 pounds with abs, and the guy punches with the right hand like a cannon.
The one advantage Jake Paul has had in previous fights, and we all know people who have worked with him, and they go, he's got natural power. He can hit pretty well for his size. Not elite, right? Not world championship, but he can hit pretty well for his size. Paulie, that one advantage that he's had in previous fights is completely gone in this one. Yes or no?
Yeah. Dave Allen looks at the matchup in a simple, realistic way. Instead of getting caught up in hype, he studies Jake Paul's past fights. Allen explains that Jake has mostly fought opponents who didn't pressure him with real heavyweight power. Because of that, Jake was able to stay calm, keep his distance, and handle exchanges without feeling overwhelmed. Allen warns that Joshua won't give Jake that same safe space. If Joshua attacks with even half the force he uses against real heavyweights, the fight could look very different from anything Jake has faced before.
But he couldn't beat Tommy. Could he win the area lightweight title? I'm not sure. Don't know who the champion is. If I had a look, I could tell you, but I'm not sure. He then boxes Nate Diaz. So he's boxed one boxer so far, if we keep in count, and he's beat none. Then he boxes Andre August, who I believe was a pro, and this is now at 14-3, so he's now actually a cruiserweight. Andre August, I'm not sure. Ryan Borland, 17-2. Again, I'm not sure. But fair play, he's beat two boxers here. Beat two boxers, what can I say? He then fights Mike Perry, who is an MMA fighter, bare knuckle boxer. He's not a glove boxer. He then fights Mike Tyson, which was an exhibition, weren't it, really?
Barry McGuigan gives one of the strongest warnings about this fight. He thinks many fans, especially younger ones, don't fully understand the danger. After decades around top punchers, McGuigan knows how quickly a fight can change when a real heavyweight lands a clean hit. He says just imagining Jake Paul facing Joshua should make any experienced boxing fan nervous. McGuigan isn't trying to insult Jake. He just wants to show how powerful boxing really is. This matchup reminds everyone that boxing is a tough and unforgiving sport when fighters with very different power levels face each other.
Freak show. Some people are saying, AJ's grabbing the bag. There's nothing wrong with that because anybody else, if they got offered that kind of money, they would do it. So, yep. And some people are suggesting he might damage his legacy. Where do you sit with the decision of him taking that fight? And it's a professional 8-round fight as well.
Yes, it's a highly dangerous fight for Jake Paul. I don't know what he's doing, unless they have done some sort of caveat or some sort of agreement that he says he's going to go easy on him, or he's not going to go flat out. But I've been tossing this up and down in my mind and trying to figure how, and under God, when he had agreed to fight someone like Tank Davis, who is, several divisions below him. That's more like what Jake Paul does.
That's all for today's video. Stay tuned and see you next time.